Ladies and gentlemen, if I might bring you to order, welcome to Birksfold, Scolmore, Bradford, for the consecration of the memorial of our dearly beloved departed Albert Waxman. We're joined today also by a variety of relatives and friends on Zoom who should be able to see and hear everything that's going on and also be able to give eulogies from Zoom. So at this point, may I introduce you to Rabbi Anthony Gilbert, the Bradforder Rebbe, who will be conducting this service. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. We gather here on this beautiful day. The weather is shining. The inclement weather that we've had of late seems to have dissipated. It's a beautiful day, and I'm sure the weather reflects the attitude and the essence of the late Albert Waxman, that his glass was never half empty, it was always half full. He always had a very positive outlook on life. And we'll now say a couple of psalms, and then we will go into the various eulogies that are going to be offered by family members and friends. So we start on page 61. Service to the setting of a memorial stone. Ashrei hoish asher lo halach biatzas reshoim v'derech hatoim elo amad u'mashov leitzim lo yashav. Happy is the man who never follows the advice of the wicked, nor lingers in the path of sinners, nor sits in the company of scoffers, but finds his delight in the Torah of the Lord and meditates in his Torah day and night. He shall be like a tree planted beside streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, whose leaf never withers. He will succeed in everything he does. Not so with the wicked. They are like chaff, which the wind drives away. Therefore, when judgment comes, the wicked shall not stand firm, nor sinners in the company of the righteous. For Hashem, the Lord, cares for the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked is doomed. Who may ascend the mountain of the Lord, and who may stand in his holy place? He who has clean hands and a pure heart, who has not taken my name in vain and has not sworn deceitfully, he will receive a blessing from the Lord and a just reward from God, his deliverer. The last word, when all is heard, fear God and obey his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. The day is short, the task is great, the laborers are lazy, the reward is great, and the master insistent. It is not your duty to finish the work, but neither are you free to neglect it. Trustworthy is your employer to reward you for your labor. Be assured, however, the grant of reward to the righteous will be in the time to come. Page 67, the middle paragraph. Reflecting on the personality of the late Albert Waxman, in the 2 years since his passing, you can be assured that his essence, his spiritual essence, has not been idle. That he will have been a Melitz Yosher, intercessor on our behalf, and mitigated the sorrow, the unhappy episodes in people's lives since the advancement of COVID over the last 18 months. He was a tremendous fighter. And we are told that when a person passes on, although the physical being is no more, what they were like in their lifetime, their soul takes on a similar vein. And the soul can never be quenched. The soul lives on. The soul is eternal. And we remind ourselves of this at poignant moments like today, here at the consecration service, a memorial service to recall to mind the greatness of the man, the beauty of the man, and all that he stood for. And so we say in English on page 68, as for man, his days are like grass. He flourishes like a flower of the field. For a wind passes over it and it is gone, and its place no longer knows it. But the loving kindness of the Lord is for all eternity towards those who fear him. His righteousness is with their children's children. In the way of righteousness there is life, along that path there is no death. And the dust returns to the earth as it was. But then the neshama, the spirit, the soul, returns to God who gave it. Whom have I in heaven but you, and having you I desire nothing else on earth. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. How precious is your unfailing love, O Lord. Men seek refuge under the shadow of your wings. With you is the fountain of eternal life. In your light we see light. Blessed be the Lord by day, blessed be the Lord by night. Blessed be the Lord when we lie down, blessed be the Lord when we rise up. For in your hand are the souls of the living and the dead. In his hand is every living soul and the breath of all mankind. Into your hand I entrust my spirit, you have redeemed me, O Lord God of truth. Our God, who art in heaven, assert the unity of your name. Establish your kingdom from all time and reign over us forever and ever. Being here today is an honor and a privilege to bring to mind, to recall to mind, a man of tremendous energy, expertise, but above all, loving kindness. It's testament to his memory, to his life, that so many people have joined us from all parts of the world on Zoom to pay homage to a remarkable man. Our thoughts are with his dear wife Lily, his dear children, Alan, Susan, and Richard, grandchildren and great-grandchildren. They are uppermost in our minds at this moment in time. But as you know, when you cast a stone on water, it has a ripple effect. The waters shake and move, and further downstream there is reverberations. That was the life of Albert Waxman. He was a shaker and a mover. He was a person who never stood still. If he had a belief, if he had the tenaciousness and the way to pursue an idea that he thought was right, he would do so. He would grab the opportunity with both hands. We say that there is no sentiment in business. That's quite true. Very little sentiment in business when you're doing a business deal. But what shines through, as it shone through with him, that it was always done with fairness, in an equitable way. And everybody felt when they left the meeting that they had something to gain and something to have benefited by. That's the most important thing, to have benefited by in such a way. And when we had our communal negotiations with him, when Eitz Chaim Synagogue had an arrangement to take care of the Bradford Hebrew congregation for its cemetery, for cemetery purposes, for burial purposes, the meetings were always conducted in a very amicable way. What was best for the congregation? Nobody was scoring points. People like Lebod L'chaim, Mr. King, Albert, of blessed memory, were at the forefront of these negotiations to bring about what was best, what was fair for everybody. When such a person goes from our midst, it's not only a tremendous loss for the family, but it's a tremendous loss for the community. Albert's loss was a tremendous loss to Anglo Jewry and beyond. Some people like their names up in lights. They like people to know that they're supporting this charity and that charity, and that they are substantial benefactors. Knana horror. Mr. Waxman was blessed with successful businesses. It was obvious that he was a wealthy man. But he wasn't just wealthy in material terms. He had an abundance of wealth in mitzvot ulamasim toivim, in precepts and good deeds, for one simple reason. The wealth, his material wealth, didn't bother him, but his mitzvot ulamasim toivim, his precepts and his good deeds, that bothered him, that he should do it correctly. He should do it banachas. He should do it quietly. He should do it in a way that benefited his neshama, that benefited his personal neshama, his personal soul, and that of his immediate family. Because that's all that matters in life. As we read at the Shiva house, there are three things that are personal to a person: his family, his possessions, and his mitzvot ulamasim toivim, his precepts and good deeds. The family are here today. The physical being of Albert is not. Whatever he had in his life has no connection with him anymore. Oh, but when we turn around and we see this in memory of our dear president, Albert Abram Waxman, who dedicated service from 1986 to 2013, sustained the Bradford Hebrew congregation. Those few words speak volumes about a man who gave of his best, who gave of his all to a congregation, to a community, to charitable enterprises for the benefit of mankind, Jew and non-Jew alike. Hashem judges us. We're on the threshold of the Yomim Noroim. Tomorrow night, many will be in shul or be at home with a magzer in their hands. Zochreinu l'chaim. Remember us for life. V'kosveinu b'chayim toivim. And inscribe us in the book of life. You can be sure that with all the good deeds, the righteous deeds that Albert did in his lifetime, together with that of his dear wife Lily, what they did for the community, Hashem has looked gently on his dear soul. There is none upon earth who doth only good and sinneth not. We all have our foibles. We're human beings after all. We're not the divine. God will look kindly on his dear soul, grant him peace and perpetual rest. The memorial outside is a reminder to all those who pass who he was, but he will live in our hearts for many, many years to come. A man lives but a number of years, but a good name endures forever. Albert Waxman established for himself a Shem Tov. Tehenish Motzot Zerarov Itzarara Chayim, may he shall be bound in the bonds of eternal life. May intercess on our behalf that we should have a Kesiva V'Chasima Tova to be inscribed for a good, sweet, happy, and healthy year. Amen.
Amen. Susan, would you come forward?
Thank you, Rabbi Gilbert. Thank you, Albert, for your kind words. And thank you all for coming today. I'd like to say a special thank you to Roy and Mary Kletter, who made the effort to come here from South America. First of all, I'm going to read a letter that Claudio Comello, who was a very, very dear friend of my father's, wrote for us to read out today. When I heard the awful news from Lily, I first thought that I had lost irredeemably my best and beloved friend. He was like a brother to me, but I also heard a long time ago that our beloved are dead only when we forget them, and I will never forget Albert. He is always present in my mind and in my heart. I first met Albert and Lillian Shipley in 1969, 52 years ago. I was immediately impressed by his kind and tolerant approach, and soon after, I learned to know his talents in business, and even more important, his bright and generous philosophy of life. I felt that he had a great talent like X-rays to immediately know the nature and character of every human being, and I guess for that, we soon became very good friends, because he read in me that I was honest and sincere and admired him very much. In business, he never took advantage of his power and his great experience. Every deal with him was always fair and reliable, with mutual trust. But apart from that, the most touching for me was that he felt so friendly, always concerned by my own private life, which was sometimes pretty hard, helping me a lot with his good advice and sincere support like an older brother. He was always so important to me and still is and will be. I felt so attached to him and Lily that in 1997, long before I retired, I bought a flat in Marbella to be near them and more often together. And it was indeed such a nice time for me and my wife, Gisela. We shared so much and I learned so much from him and from his bright, clear and unique philosophy of life. We shared unforgettable moments. I came to his 70th birthday party in Yorkshire and with Gisela, his 80th birthday party in Paris. So many nice souvenirs together. Sometimes facing a dilemma of behavior, I think and wonder, how would Albert actually act facing such a problem? And very often I find a way out with the help of his clean and clear philosophy of life. He will always be an example to me. Thank you so much, dearest Albert. You will always be in my mind and in my heart, and Gisela and my daughters feel the same. Your old friend, Claudio. So let's start again. Dear family and friends, thank you all, I've said, on behalf of Mum, for coming here today to honor my father. She deeply regrets not being able to join us and see you again. She is watching on Zoom, kindly helped by Diane and Ken Keeg, and will say a few words later. As you know, Dad came to England at 14 on the kinder transport and was for many years at the Bradford Hostel. Ozzie Stroud, one of the main benefactors of the boys, took a shine to Dad and often took him home for lunch in his roles. Dad remembered thinking himself that one day he would have a Rolls. Amazing self-confidence for a penniless refugee. Already then he had a vision of how he foresaw his life. Indeed, he lived the life he envisioned, and at the end had no regrets. He lived the life he wanted. One of his idiosyncrasies was buying great wines, hoarding them in the cellar and refusing to open them. To get him to open one of his prized bottles was like pulling teeth. We had to drink Chateau Plonk while there was Chateau Rothschild in the cellar. The result is that he left many fine bottles, which we will drink to his memory. Apparently, he was a very good poker player, although unfortunately, I never saw him play. He also liked to flutter at the casino, although prudently only allowing himself to take £100 in cash to play with. Once at the Venice casino, he won enough to pay for our holiday and buy Mum some jewelry. I was very impressed. Together with buying wine and playing poker, Dad loved his golf, the opera, and was a very good dancer. He also had a great sense of humor, especially loving Jewish jokes. I found a Jewish joke book amongst his things and offer you one he had marked. This is what I found. And he'd annotated the ones that he liked. Goldberg meets Ginsberg at the station. Tell me, Ginsberg, we meet here every day and often at the synagogue and golf club, and you never ask me how's business. Okay, said Ginsberg. Tell me, Goldberg, how's business? Ah, replied Goldberg, don't ask. No, I think he liked that one. Okay. One of my first recollections of being surprised by Dad was at school, where I was having a difficult time. At Parents' Day, my house mistress accosted Dad and told him that I was rebellious and needed controlling. Oh, said Dad, a bit of rebellion is not a bad thing. From then on, I knew that he was on my side and would never let me down. Dad had many great qualities. He was unflappable, modest, generous, forgiving, and kind. He was honorable and honest. I'm very proud of him, proud of all he achieved. I'm proud of the man he was and the legacy he left. I am so very lucky to have had a father who I respected, admired, and loved, and I miss him terribly. That's it.
Thank you, Susan. Richard, would you like to speak next, please?
Before I start my speech, which I'm going to read, I would like to thank Rabbi Gilbert for being here. And I think particularly as well, Albert King, who has really helped organize today and made it happen. So Albert, big thanks to you and to the Rabbi. Rabbi Gilbert's friends and family. Before I talk about my father, I'd like to say something about my mother. We all know her to be both very sensible and pragmatic. So ask yourselves, what made her attached to this quiet man sitting alone in her parents' house at a party where he had been brought along by a friend? My mother was 20 years old. What did my father have when only 10 days after their first meeting, they got engaged against the wishes of my mother's parents? They were married within a year, and when my mother was only 20 years old. You will have to ask my mother to answer the question, but it clearly shows that my father had some exceptional qualities. Why also would the synagogue, the Bradford Club, and Shipley Golf Club appoint him as president? Yes, the synagogue clearly recognized him as a key respected member of the community. The Bradford Club was also aware of his business success and clearly valued his wisdom and honesty. But the golf club? However much Dad wanted to be a great golfer and however many lessons he had, regretfully, this was one area where he struggled. Nevertheless, he truly loved the game and spent many an hour playing and practicing at home. He was certainly not chosen for his drinking or socializing, although he did permit himself half a bitter after a game. For a club that did not, in earlier times, allow Jews into the club, Dad becoming president was perhaps one of his most astonishing achievements. They recognized not only his organized abilities, but also his integrity and modest, down-to-earth approach to life. Or perhaps it was his jokes, of which he had a good many, as you will remember, and which he enjoyed telling. All in all, Dad achieved in his life everything he wanted. And for that, one can say that my father was a true gentleman who lived an exceptional and fulfilled life.
Thank you, Richard. Alan?
Before I start, I think Dad would also, as Richard said, like to thank Albert King for carrying on the torch for the synagogue and obviously for all he's done today. With Dad, so much to say, so little time. Dad wouldn't want any waffle. A man, a few words, but when he spoke, he chose his words carefully and people listened. Why? Many reasons. He was a man of contradiction. He would show us his post office savings book from when he was a kid, where he'd get 2 shillings a week pocket money and save 1. If he had to walk 5 miles instead of paying for his bus fare, he would do that in order to have that discipline. But then with me, when I was a schoolboy and I wanted £10 pocket money, he would give me £20. So it was a bizarre relationship. His generosity to his family, friends, community, not just financial, but time. And he gave me the opportunities which a lot of people would have been very jealous of. And that I'm very, very much appreciative. People have mentioned, my brother and sister, his humor. That was one of his secret skills. Once when I was up in Yorkshire, I didn't have any cash to go down to London, and he lent me £40. But when a parent lent money, generally that was giving. And when I got back to London, I took the £40 out of the cash point, and I sent a little note to Dad saying, "Dear Dad, surprise, surprise, love, Alan," with the £40. A few days later, I got a letter back from him, and it was the note without the money. And he crossed out "surprise, surprise" and written, "Indeed, indeed." He was getting calls from America trying to sell him stocks and shares, and he didn't know how to get this chap to stop calling him. So eventually one day he said, "Look, what you're trying to get me to invest in sounds really interesting, and I'm really keen to do it. But with due respect, I'm only 72 years old, and before I make any financial decision, I need to discuss it with my father first." He never got a call back. His wisdom. He was once going around somebody's factory in Yorkshire, and he was looking at all the problems of the factory with the owner. And he was about to tell the owner, "Why don't you change this? Why don't you do that?" And then he thought, "Do you know what? If I'm that clever, why don't I go back to my own factory and get that right?" He always thought a little bit out the box. There was a charity who wanted him to lend him, inverted commas, £20,000 to help construction of a building for a year. Dad knew he'd never get it back, but he wanted to help. So he said, well, how much will it cost you to borrow the money for a year? And at the time it was £2,000. So look, here's the £2,000. You borrow the money. That's what you want for a year. Thank you very much. His self-confidence. He believed massively in himself. As a young man, taking the bold steps to move factory, when he wanted to join the RAF, going down to the Polish embassy in London because he had to get permission from them. But he only had the train fare to get down to London. He didn't have the train fare to get back, but he wasn't worried. When he asked the Polish embassy for the money and they gave it to him. When he wanted to join the RAF, they said, you don't have any educational qualifications. He said, it's not a problem. I'm clever enough. They believed him. They sent him to St. Andrews University and he passed all his exams. Dad was obviously very successful, but he did it in Dad's way. He was obviously very modest and very humble. But the story I really like the most is when he started his new business, having worked for Mum's father for some time, he turned around to Mum and said, look, I'm starting a new business. You've got to be careful now financially. No more shopping. She accepted that gracefully. After just 3 months, he turned around to Mum and said, you can go shopping again. His tenacity. There was a house left to the synagogue in East Germany. It took him over 4 years to get the correct deeds and to get the money back from the German government. There's a whole book of papers that he had, but he didn't give up. Obstacle after obstacle, he kept on. He lost a ring when he was on holiday in Italy, in Lido di Venezia. He would carry on diving in the sand, in the water until he found it. Once when we were in Paris, he wanted to take us all to one of the finest restaurants in Paris, and they were all booked up because it was, these things, the good places are always booked up. He didn't give up. He would be on the phone in his bedroom, calling each one in turn, waiting for the cancellation, which he got. He never accepted a no or a defeat. Regarding his love, actions for him spoke larger than words. He was not a man of showing much emotion. He was a little bit like the Godfather, who said in the film, never let people know what you're thinking. Those who he cared for knew how much he loved them. So to remember, I think of him. I'm lucky to have those thoughts for the rest of my life. I'm even wearing his shoes today, but whether I've managed to fill those shoes, that's another question. My ambition is to leave those thoughts to others when it's my turn to depart to the heavens. A better role model I could not have wished for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan. The next eulogy will come from a close family friend, Anne Morris.
It is indeed a coincidence that today is Albert's stone setting and next Sunday is my husband Philip's stone setting. Both have been cancelled at different times due to COVID and rescheduled. Two good friends. I'm sure that if Philip had not passed away a year ago, he would have been speaking and not me. Instead, he's holding my hand and encouraging me to talk and remember the long friendship we had with Albert and, of course, dear Lily. After all, they were at our wedding 61 years ago. Philip and Albert shared a love of skiing. Philip was skiing with friends, and Albert was with his family in Arosa one year. Albert persuaded Philip to visit the local barbers due to a mass of hair that Philip refused to have cut, but anyway, he never bothered about his hair. That appointment that Albert made for him was life-changing and improved Philip's looks tremendously. We were very fortunate indeed to have experienced Albert and Lily's hospitality in Shipley, in Staveley, in the Lake District, and in Marbella. Albert was always a generous, kind, and thoughtful host. I used to enjoy conversations very much with Albert. He was interesting. He had a novel contribution to always make, but he was also a good listener. He was quiet, but he took everything in. We enjoyed going out for meals at Salts Mill, a favorite restaurant of both Albert and Lily. You've heard today what a wonderful president he was of the Bradford Hebrew congregation. I nearly said Harrogate because Philip spent 40 odd years with Harrogate. Sure. He gave much of his time, as we heard, in his 25 years as president, and then eventually with the sale of the building and its contents, and that must have been a massive job. We enjoyed Albert's 90th birthday party very much. People will be speaking about all the parties Albert and Lily gave. Philip gave a speech to Albert at that party, and I had the honor of sitting next to him. At another birthday party in Marbella very recently, the family had gone to a lot of trouble organizing it, and sadly, Albert was unable to be at that party, and Lily made the very brave decision to go ahead with it. These are wonderful memories of an outstanding and inspirational gentleman. And I also remember my 80th birthday party, Albert coming with Lily, and I'd spent some time with the caterer to make a special meal for Albert at the party because he wasn't able to eat the normal food. So thank you for giving me the opportunity today of speaking about a wonderful friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. The next eulogy is also from a close family friend, Anthony Ullman.
Rabbi Gilbert, dearest Lily, wherever you are, hi Lily, Susan, Richard, Alan, Sam, Josh, and extended family here and around the world. I'm honored to have been asked to say a few words about Albert. In 1959, at the age of 5, my parents, my brother, Andrew, and I moved into number 9 Staveley Road in Nabwood, Shipley. Our neighbors were the Waxmans, and so the story of the next 60+ years began. A close and very personal bond with my parents ensued and lasted forever. And this, I'm delighted to say, has percolated through the following 2 generations, and who knows, may well be perpetuated by Richard and Jackie's grandchildren and our own. Uncle Albert was unique in many ways. He was astute, wise, strict, yet with an amazing ability to amuse. His amusing stories, as we've heard, were delivered à sa façon, with a twinkling eye, and were legendary. Given the circumstances of his arrival in Bradford, he was a foreign man in a foreign land. And yet, not only did he acclimatize to his surroundings, but he endeared himself to those at work and at play. As in my own father's case, he never lost his accent nor his directness in all his interpersonal dealings. When, after my first couple of years working with my father, I remember a conversation with Albert one evening. He told me that he was aware that all was not well between me and my father's business partner. I, hoping that that would lead to a comfortable chat and an understanding shoulder to lean on, my disquiet was met by a very short and succinct ultimatum from Albert: to stay and suffer, or to resign and move on to something else. Whilst this may have left a young and green entrepreneur with a stark and perhaps uncomfortable choice, I chose the latter, and the rest, I'm pleased to say, is history. Dear Uncle Albert, never a man to mince his words. In recent years, and following the closure of the Bradford Synagogue, I had the pleasure of having Albert and Lily with us in Leeds for Rosh Hashanah. Despite Albert's failing sight and hearing, he so much appreciated being recognized and feted by so many who either knew him or knew of the tremendous work that he and Lily did over so many years as pillars of the Bradford community. I saw Albert in his final hours. It was one of the most poignant moments for me. And yet his passing exemplified his life: reserved, thoughtful, measured, and dignified. Very sad, very, very sad, but uplifting to have seen such an amazing man, husband, father, grandfather, brother, uncle, cousin, and for me, a friend for whom I had huge respect and admiration. Dear Lily in Marbella, Susan, Richard, Alan, and all the Waxman family, Rivadai, and all our family wish you a long and joyous life full of the memories of this wonderful man, Albert Abraham Waxman.
Thank you, Anthony. Roy Schneider is Albert and Lily's nephew, and would say a word or two.
Well, dear family and friends, and to Lily, who I know is watching us, we're all here today, obviously, to remember our dear Uncle Albert. All of you have, prior to me being here now, have said the most important things, I think, about Uncle Albert and his life. I think I have something slightly different to tell you. My mother, Edith, and Auntie Lily, of course, were sisters. And I don't actually remember, but I have been told that I was left when I was 4 months old for 8 months behind with the Waxman family while my parents did their first long trip to Australia in search of wool. And from that day onwards, they became my second family. I think the life that we have led, so different from our cousins here in Yorkshire and Manchester, has brought us back time and time again to visit Albert and Lily on numerous occasions. Every year we made an effort to come. It was one of the highlights of the year, especially Auntie Lily's fantastic cooking, and of course, Uncle Albert's amazing repertoire of Jewish jokes, which I hope doesn't leave the family, because there were some pretty good ones. I would like to also say that when I returned from South America, recently married, Albert especially and Lily were very, very welcoming towards my new wife, my Gletta, see her today, and our children, quiet children from my side, and obviously having themselves come to live in a different country, knew about some of the hardships that were going to be expected by my Gletta to come to live in England from South America, especially the weather, in fact. So, but that's another story. Apart from myself, unfortunately today, my brother Peter, who also born here in Bradford, would love to have been here and sends his best wishes to everybody. And my daughter Nicole, sorry, who actually would come up as well to visit on numerous occasions. And I heard from Albert and Lily that her visits made them very, very happy. And she was hoping to come again. Obviously, this time was not possible. Philip has made the effort to come. Great, Philip. And of course, you are also getting along with the next generation of Waxmans very well. And I'm sure the family traditions of entrepreneurship are already seeded and will carry on forever. As I said, I have been very lucky to have two sets of parents, and it's something that many of you might not understand. It is so different, so different when you are able to tell your problems to somebody who looks at it from a completely different angle, opposed to somebody who's actually just telling you to get your hair cut and get the hell out as soon as possible. I'm sure Uncle Albert and Jackie Mason are enjoying some great jokes together. in a never-ending horizon that is the universe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roy. Our next eulogy is from Alison Ryde, or Morris, as I think she used to be called, a great family friend.
Hello, Auntie Lily. I know you're watching. I wrote all these notes, but after listening to everyone else's speeches, I'm not sure how closely I'm going to stick to them. I've been hearing about Uncle Albert as a parent, not only to his own children, but to many other people. And I've been very privileged to be included in that number. Okay, I'll try with the notes. So thank you to the family and to Auntie Lily for asking me to speak today. I feel very honored to be included. These words, my words, are a very personal recollection. And I know that everybody here and zooming in will have their own particular memories. I found it really hard to find the right words to put down. First of all, the first problem was that I found myself writing Albert and Lily instead of Albert, because they've always been together. They've always been a natural couplet. And when I think of Uncle Albert, I think of Uncle Albert and Auntie Lily together. So that's my first problem. So my memories as a child are full of Uncle Albert and Auntie Lily, and a childhood spent in their kitchen, their basement, their garden, with Alan leading me into all kinds of mischief. And later on, there are memories of Albert showing me his collection of jade figures, his books, and his art. And it seems quite odd to say, I obviously didn't think about it, but I was already a teenager when I really realized that Uncle Albert wasn't actually my relative. I was very disappointed. Uncle Albert was very close to my father, and he died when I was only 18. So that connection was really vital to me, and it remained so, and it remains so with Auntie Lily as well. The memory I'd like to share really with you is that when my father died, and later on my mother, Albert was the one who was waiting for me at this cemetery with open arms. I've heard people say he wasn't that emotional outwardly, but that wasn't my experience. He was always waiting for me with open arms. And when he was waiting for me at the cemetery for my parents' funerals, he spoke my name in that unmistakable way that he had of pronouncing my name. And it was at that moment that the magnitude of my own losses broke onto me and the dam of my grief was released. And after my mother died with Lily, he opened Staveley Road to me to hold the post-funeral gathering. And you all know that that open-hearted, generous act was very typical. So when I think of Uncle Albert, my memory is of an overwhelming feeling of warmth and safety and love. And I carry that in my heart, and I'll always carry that with me. And as Roy said, as I have my own grown-up children now, I understand how important it is to have adults in your life who are not your parents to support you and to turn to you, to turn to. Uncle Albert was always there for me, and Auntie Lily is still there, and I'm looking forward to seeing her in Spain soon. And I'm very honored to be part of this sharing. It's very hard to say goodbye to somebody like Uncle Albert. And although he had a long life and it would never be long enough, it was very well lived. That's it, really. I wish everybody here a very long life, and thank you for the honor.
Grandson Sam.
Hi, Omar. Hopefully I'm not going to get heckled by my 2-year-old daughter at the back, but let's go. So today, really, I just wanted to say a few words about my beloved Opar. From my personal view, there's a third generation in his family that stands here today. Opar was always the head of the family. He was always calm, composed, and more than anything, respected by everyone, which to me was always quite powerful growing up. As most of you probably know in this room and outside, I'm third generation now in the family business, unless you speak to Omar, who may say fourth generation, but then it kind of carries on possibly. I always, with so much pride, tell the story of how Opa arrived here in this country at such a young age and in such difficult times. I'm so proud to tell this story, and I'd like to think the foundations laid down by Opa and his principles are still respected and followed today within the work that we're all in. Keeping these amazing qualities in our family bloodline is the most important thing to me, and there's so much to learn from. Opa for sure had so many amazing qualities that I aspire to have. First of all, being patient, which I don't know if many of us adopted from him. Anyone who knew Opa knew he had an amazing ability to listen, and he was always so calm and composed, and I rarely see him lose his temper, except for the time me and my brother got oil all over his brand new Jaguar in the garage, and then I didn't realize how quickly he could run, but thankfully got hold of my brother. It was quite a surprise to us both, I think, to be honest with you. Generosity was another one, which obviously has been mentioned many times today, as would be expected. He was a kind-hearted man who was always involved in his charities and loved to help others, which I think is maybe lost today. And, you know, you can really learn from that core principle. He was an amazing husband to Omar. Their marriage was inspirational to me, one that was full of respect, compromise, and communication. I can only dream that myself, I can have such a wonderful marriage like they had for so many years. For sure, Opa had many more outstanding qualities, but for me, he was a great Opa, and he was always amazing with me and my brother. We had so many cherished memories from childhood, such as memories in Spain, the great trips we all had as a family, which many of us here today have attended. They were always quite the occasion. Wherever we travelled around the world or in Europe, it was always something to look forward to. And that is probably the core memory I think I always remember of the family, of the trips we took and the effort that Omar probably drove to arrange these things. And it was really some amazing memories. All that he taught me in adulthood, I was so lucky to have him at my wedding, which was a blessing, and he was also able to meet my great-granddaughter, Willow. Got some amazing pictures. That was also very special. I'll make sure that she knows what an amazing, inspirational person her grandfather was, and this is why all the memories and stories of Opa will always continue. Thank you.
So those are the eulogies in person, but we're now going to move to Zoom, and Karine from Israel is going to talk.
Good. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I'm truly honored that I was given the chance to say a few words in memory of our beloved Albert. I was first blessed to meet him on Rosh Hashanah 20 years ago when I was a student in Bradford. He took me under his wing and became a protective grandfather figure for me, one that I no longer had. He treated me with so much kindness and made sure that I always felt part of his family. Albert was one of the few people that I've met in my life that gave without expecting anything in return. For me, he will be and remain the most elegant man in the world. I remember his graceful movement and how he always spoke eloquently and yet pronounced in his unforgettable foreigner accent. I was fascinated by these many true life stories. Albert, the kinder-transport child that married his one and only Lily, whom he built a beautiful, loving family. Even his disapproval of Israeli policy, which caused him to decide not to touch Israeli soil for 18 years, he still came with Lily to celebrate my wedding in Israel, showing how much he cared about me. I always loved the way he looked forward to every moment and how life always surprised him positively. He was a true optimist. I will never forget the word he had toward my son, Tal, on our last visit. He said, with such energy, this child will accomplish a lot in life. This was said, of course, with his unforgettable smile. I was honored to share 21 years of his life. I learned so much from him. He was a true role model for me. Thank you, dear Albert, for all these wonderful memories. You will remain in my heart forever.
Thank you very much, Karine. I don't think we have Benjamin Chait with us today, so we now pass over to Lily in Marbella, who would like to say some words. Go ahead, Lily.
I met Albert when I was 20 years old at a friend's house where we were having a small get-together. Albert was living with his parents and a young brother, Philip, in Germany. He had come to Bradford on business for 1 week, but after our first date, he stayed for 3 weeks as we had fallen in love. Albert soon returned and wanted to introduce me to his mother, so we decided to meet her in Germany. We got engaged and Albert chose an engagement ring, which was very lovely. My parents were not happy as I was not yet 21 years old, so they wanted us to wait as my sister had just got married. I went on to Saarbrücken for 1 month to meet all Albert's family. On our return to England, Albert applied for a British passport, which he was entitled to, having had been in the RAF for 3 years. We had a wonderful wedding. I wore a white chiffon dress and Albert was in a black dinner jacket. The service was at the Orthodox synagogue in Bradford, attended by about 120 friends and family around the world. We went on to our honeymoon to the south of France for 3 weeks to a small hotel where they made a big fuss of us as they knew we were on our honeymoon. When we returned to Bradford, Albert joined my father's business, but after a few years, he set up on his own. He was a very good businessman. He traveled to many countries, but he did not want me in the business. So I went into charity work, making a lot of money for a nursing home in Israel and the Hebrew University, which I did for many years. I have 3 children with Albert, 1 daughter, 2 sons, 2 grandsons, and a great-granddaughter. So I have been blessed with a lovely family. 20 years ago, we found a paradise home in the sky, overlooking the sea in Marbella, where I am happy to spend the rest of my life. Albert passed away 2 years ago after a short illness, very peacefully, at the age of 95. Having had a wonderful life, he is buried in Bradford in the Jewish cemetery. We spent over 60 years together, where we were very happy. So I was very blessed. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all the friends who have come to celebrate Albert's life. And I'm really happy to have seen so many friends today. Thank you very much. Albert King as well for organizing everything for me.
Thank you, Lily. We will now move to the graveside to unveil the memorial. And if our cameraman could go first, it would be appreciated. I'll just give you one short reminiscence personally. It was mentioned earlier that Albert was a member and then became president finally of the Bradford Club, a gentleman's club in Bradford for businessmen, worthies and VIPs. And in his presidential year, there was a dinner held which I had the honor of attending. And he gave a speech telling his life story about how he had come to Bradford and how he had become wealthy by his own means. And at the end of a relatively short speech, everybody stood up in the room and gave him an ovation which lasted for over 5 minutes. They clapped and clapped and clapped. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Remarkable. Please join us at the graveside. Which way are you going? Where am I going? To stay on this, to protect against the wind.
Veil the memorial stone. Call please on the children to surround the memorial. Each take a piece of the unveiling cloth and remove it from the gravestone. Yes.
Please come forward if you wish.
I shall now read the inscription on the stone, which will be followed by the memorial prayer, which will be followed by the traditional reciting of Kaddish. Poinitzman, here lies Reb Avraham Bereb Shalom Mordechai, Nifter Yud Tes Menachemov, Tovshin Ayin Tes, in loving memory of Albert Abram Waxman, who was born on the 26th of November 1924 and passed on the 20th of August 2019. President of the Bradford Hebrew Congregation from 1986 to 2013. Deeply mourned by his wife Lily, their children Susan, Richard and Alan, and all his devoted family. A wise and honorable and kind man, forever in our hearts. Tehei nishmatzo tzororo b'tzoro hachayim. Emule rachamim, shoichem b'meromim, hamitzei melech lechoyeno, kavei hashchino, b'malot kedoshim u'taharim, ki zoi harakiya mazehirim. Es nishmas Reb Avraham Bereb Shalom Mordechai, sheholach li elamo, ono bol rachamim, יסתירהו בסגן החברי אלוהים, וצרו בשרחי ושנשמוסו, אדוני הוא נחלוסוי, וינוח בשלום המשכבו, ונאמר אמן. Amen. יהי שמי רבו מבורך.
Yisbarach, 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 Yisnasei, Yisahar, Yisahar, Yishalal, V'Shnei Kushel, Shol, Elohim, Min, Kovivish, Shosho, Tushosho, Shosho,
Amen.
Amen. V'Hayei Shlomo Rabo Min Shomeo V'Chayim Oleinu V'Hechal Kol Israel V'Yimru Amen. U'Shel Shalom Elomov Yesei Shalom Oleinu V'Kol Israel V'Yimru Amen.
That concludes the service here today. There are hand washing facilities and a toilet at the back of the OHAL. And I might remind you that it's normal on these occasions to give charity, and there is a charity box on the exit to the cemetery. And for those on Zoom who might consider a charitable donation, they should get in touch with me. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming, both in person and on Zoom. Oh, Susan would like to say something.
We've organised a small lunch at Salts Mill after this, to which you're all welcome to come.
Finally, the Zoom facility will be kept on for the next 10 minutes or so. So if anybody would like to go into the OHAL and talk to Lily or other people who are on Zoom, now's their chance to do so.
Take you off mute if you want to say hello to anybody.
Andrew, Andrew, hello, Andrew. I think it's coming back, isn't it?
I'm not sure. Has to get back to the OHEL?
Margaret there.
Who's that?
Margaret Birch. Hello, Margaret.
She's muted.
Oh, she's muted. I'd like her to have said a few words.
Can you
Margaret.
unmute? Just trying to unmute. No?
You know who that is, don't you?
Yeah, Andrew.
No.
Oh, that's
Jonathan.
Jonathan Elford.
Say hello to Jonathan. He can
Hello.
unmute.
Hello, Jonathan. Can you hear me?
Hello, Lily. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello, Jonathan.
Hi. That was a really beautiful service. Thank you very much for including me.
No.
I was
Wonderful.
thinking it reminded me, you know, that my father was also the president of the shul, I think immediately before Albert. And I always remember my father saying how grateful he was that Albert had taken on the presidency of the shul and continued to be the president for all those years. Having been the president himself, he really understood how important it was to have somebody like Albert totally committed to doing that work. So it was very nice.
Mrs. Waxman, it's Jonathan and Cynthia here. Just to wish you all, you and all the family, a long life. We miss Albert. Obviously, he was a lovely person. We had many happy time at Bradford, having an enjoyable time with him and having a nice time and a nice chat after shul on a Shabbos. And Mum, do you want to wish Mrs. Waxman a long life as well? Look at the camera there. Wish Mrs. Waxman and the family a long life. Wish you a long life. You talk to the camera there. She's watching. Wish Mrs. Waxman a long life.
Oh, Mrs. Waxman.
Wish you a long life.
Pardon?
Okay, we wish you a long life.
A long life, yes.
And hopefully we'll see you at some point in the future. Wish you all the best for the future.
We hadn't seen her. We had seen her, haven't we?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, we saw her.
It's Blanche here, Blanche Stanley from Leeds.
Hello, Blanche.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Yes,
Yeah.
want
I can
to-
see you. Yeah.
Yes. We have such
Hello,
fun-
Blanche.
Hello, hello. We'd like to wish you long life, and we have such cherished memories of the wonderful times we spent together in Bradford in the shul. And Albert's such devotion to the shul. It was amazing. All the years, the shul was his life, and he was totally devoted to the shul and everything that happened there. And he kept it going for so many years. And the service this morning was so beautiful and wonderful to hear all the beautiful memories. And we have very, very treasured memories of our times together with you both and in Bradford. And we wish you long life.
I remember how you checked the food that we brought in always. And I didn't.
Yes, and the wonderful dinner that we had on Erev Rosh Hashanah all together. Yes,
All together.
yes, it turned out to be the annual dinner at wonderful occasions. And
I did enjoy very much. I did enjoy very much doing things for the community. And Albert did, of course, as well, very much. Yeah.
Yes,
We took the community to our heart.
Oh, because he's outside of
Yeah.
Zoom. Mum, sorry to interrupt you. We're going to be leaving now, so we'll speak later.
Okay, Richard.
No, she can.
Hi, Mrs. Waxman.
Hello, Margaret. Yeah.
Are you all right?
Hello. Yeah,
Are you
I'm
well?
fine. Yeah, nice to see you.
I'm sorry.
Nice to see you, Margaret.
We got to Scotland so that we couldn't get there. We couldn't get down for 11 o'clock.
Any case, you're on Zoom now.
Yeah.
I can see you.
I've been looking after him. I look after him.
Margaret looks after. You do look after, don't you, Margaret?
I do, yeah. I go and talk to him
you
as
go
well.
to-
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a chat. Even Alan goes to talk to him.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But he was very fond of his staff, wasn't he, Albert?
Yeah, we all
He
loved
was very fond of you.
Yeah, I loved him.
Yeah. Oh,
He was
good.
like a dad.
Yeah.
He was like a second dad to me. You know, he was good.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you
you were
take care.
together a long. Thank you very
Yeah.
much, Margaret. Yeah.
I worked
And I
in
look forward to see you in.
Yeah. We'll come out to Spain.
Yeah.
when we can.
You're fantastic.
Yeah.
You're looking very well, Margaret. You're looking
Thank you.
very well.
Yeah. Getting on a bit now, but you take care of yourself.
Thank you very
Okay.
much, Margaret.
Bye.
Good to see you. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.
Auntie Lily.
From Zab. Hello.
Auntie Lily, I believe you.
Oh,
Okay, it was
did you?
no, it's Jean-Marc. Jean-Marc.
Jean-Marc, yeah.
Yeah, it was very nice to follow that. Nice word, nice memories, and we keep. Okay, you hear me, Auntie Lily?
I can hear you. Yeah, yeah. I can hear you. I can see
Okay.
you. Yeah, yeah.
So it was nice to be there to follow that. It was very nice ceremony about a great man, but we all know that, and we keep in touch, and we call and talk together. Okay.
Yeah, we will do. Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Bye bye, Auntie Lily. Have a nice.
Bye. Keep well. Keep well.
Say goodbye first.
Lily?
Yeah.
Lily, can you hear me?
Karen, yes.
Just wanted to.
Lily, I just wanted to, well, you were obviously missed a wonderful, wonderful service and memorial to Albert. And I just wanted to say long life from me and Barbara to you and to your entire family. And hope to see you in Marbella soon. We'll be there next week. All the very best. Bye.
Dan, that's one of the
Karen, I think, wanted to speak.
Hello, Karen.
Yes, wait here.
Yeah.
I just wanted to really thank you for including me and let me speak today. And it was really beautiful and well made. And I'll talk to you soon. And if I don't speak to you till Rosh Hashanah, I wish you good holidays. Sending you a lot of love and hope that you will keep.
That's
she's saying goodbye.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Karen.
Bye.
Here you want to speak?
Yeah, hello.
Who's that?
That's Borchard, Andrew Borchard.
Yes. Hi, Lily. Lovely
Hello,
to
Andrew.
see you even on Zoom.
Yeah.
It's been a great privilege to have known Albert and of course you. And one day I'll come and see you in Marbella. And I hope all is well. God bless.
Oh, good. Good to see you, Andrew. Very good. Who else? Who's that? That's Nicholas.
Yeah. Lily, it's Albert here. We're going to close the Zoom now unless there's anyone you particularly want to talk to who you know is here.
I just wanted to say to Lily, thank you very much for including me. It was a wonderful service. I have wonderful memories of dear Albert, and I wish you and the family a long life.
Thank you. We can leave the people on Zoom to talk amongst themselves, but I was concerned about people who might be here who you'd like to speak to. Have you spoken to Lily?
No, I would love to
speak to Lily.
Don't
go in.
Yeah. Auntie Lily, hi. I've been wearing my mask outside, but for you, I take it off. And for Uncle Albert, I take it off. To do this by Zoom gets us close, but not close enough. And it's always wonderful to remember the fabulous events that we enjoyed together for so many years. I've been thinking about Uncle Albert and some of the advice that he gave me has helped shape my life, as have you. And I remember as a kid, falling over the wall and you picking me up. I've still got the scars to prove it. but I remember the wonderful advice, especially whilst I was a schoolboy. He told me, he said, look, just keep going. You may not fit in, but if you don't fit in because you're a square peg in a round hole, don't worry, somewhere you will find a square hole. And he was absolutely right. And I've never, ever forgotten that advice that he gave to me. And the love from you is unending. I send my love fondly. I give you a hug and kiss on both cheeks as usual. And I look forward to renewing the acquaintance, coming over to see you. And maybe, if I'm very, very, very lucky, you will make my favorite cucumber salad that is legendary, my darling. So I send love. Penny sends love too. And I'm going to go off and join the family now for lunch in honor of Uncle Albert. May he rest in everlasting peace. And you, Happy New Year and all that nonsense. Me, I'm going to Italy, hence the mask. Lots of love. Bye.
Nice. What else? Let's see.
Is that Richard Dunham down there?
Paul Ram? Right. Paul Rahim? Yeah. Benjamin Bean.
Paul, you're on
Benjamin.
mute if you're trying to speak.
Oh, we're on mute.
No. This someone else wants to speak.
That's
Oh,
right.
here you go.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, this is Paul Rahim. I'm a friend of Alan, and I would just like to wish you all the best. I had the privilege of meeting your husband when he organised a supper for Alan and I to attend in South London, and I remember it was great fun. So I've got a fond memory of his sense of humour and so forth. But I wish you and your family all the best, and thank you for inviting me.
Oh, Paul.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah, it's a friend of ours.
Let's see. Can you speak here? Benjamin Beal?
Bye, yeah.
Can I say hello?
Yeah, Benjamin, yeah.
They're muted.
Oh, they're muted.
Yeah, you can speak.
But you could speak.
Hello, Benjamin. Can you hear me, Benjamin? No, you can't hear me.
Maybe.
But I would.
He's muted.
Oh, he's muted, and I can't see you either. But
You can send a message.
are you in Strasbourg? I think you must be in Strasbourg. I don't know. But I would love to see you in Marbella. So perhaps you could get in touch with me. I'm sure you have my phone number, and we can have a chat. I know you would remember Albert very well. So, yeah. Yeah.
Lily, it's Jonathan again. I'd just like to wish you long life and also, of course, a Happy New Year. And I also remember those wonderful dinners that you organized, which the Abrahams mentioned earlier. Those wonderful dinners you organized in the shul in Bradford that I used to come to with my mother. So I'll be thinking of you and those wonderful dinners tomorrow night when I'll be at a much more modest occasion. But I remember them so well, and they were such wonderful events with you and Albert hosting the most wonderful evening. So thank you again for including me in this wonderful memorial service. And I wish you a long life and all the best for the new year.
Thank you very much, Jonathan.
Hi, Jonathan. It's Diane here. I'm sorry I haven't been in touch, but wish you a Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year.
So it's lovely to be here with her.
Yeah. Hope to see you soon.
Oh, definitely. When we're back.
I'm not sure when we'll be, but we'll give you a call.
We will.
Okay.
Lovely to see you.
And you.
Yeah, lovely to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Let's see. Want to speak to Blanche again, or Didier and Giselle? Jonathan's just gone off. Anything else for anybody else?
Where's Jonathan and Giselle?
Didier and Giselle.
Didier.
You want to say, we can't see him, but you
We
can,
can't
they can hear you
Oh, wow.
if you want to say something.
No, I just about to say, I'd love to see them. I'm sure traveling is getting easier now. I'm sure you'll be able to come to Spain to see me. I'm not traveling anywhere anymore. So the family and everybody has to come all the way here to Spain.
Meet at the Lucky Leprechaun.
And meet at the
Lucky Leprechaun.
My knee's going to sleep.
Yeah. Let's see, I think.
So Rabbi Gilbert, I can still see Rabbi Gilbert.
I don't know. Is he still there?
Gilbert and Blanche.
Yes.
Blanche and
Hello, hello. So we wish you long life and a good, healthy year, please God. Happy New Year and a good, healthy year, please God, and lots of nachas from
Thank
your
you very
wonderful
much,
family.
Blanche. Thank you, Blanche.
Okay.
I think that's
I
it.
think that's everybody.
I think it's everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to say bye to those who are there? Yeah.
I think that's nice to say goodbye. And it's been a lovely memory for Albert today. So I do appreciate everybody taking part. And there will be a very nice little ceremony at the stone setting.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Someone's come back. Who's Nicholas is back? Saying goodbye.
Hello, Nicholas. Just to say goodbye again. Yeah.
Nicholas, you're muted.
I just want to wish you, Lily, and everyone who's watching, Shana Tova Umtuka, a healthy and happy new year.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nicholas. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And I will now take my leave.
Okay.
Okay.
Lovely seeing you. Lovely seeing you. Keep well.
And you.
Thank you.
Okay. I think that's it.
Is that it?
Yeah. You spoke there. And you left a message for Didier and Giselle. So I think that's everything. Cool. I think that's the noise in the
No, I wanted to thank Albert again. Albert King.
There.
Are they all having lunch now?
Well,
but salt smell, salt soup. Who's still there?
You say, Albert Keane, are you still there?
noisy.
Yeah, that's the, maybe it's a separate. I think they've probably all gone to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't zoom into salt smell.
No. She may. No, we're just hearing background noise. Take it down. That was lovely.
Someone asked me to do a quick quote on somebody, then yeah, but what time did you leave your house? What time did you do? I left here at 8 o'clock. I got here at 13 minutes past 8. I live so close to here, you won't believe. I live to get to here, it's just really fast. I'm just hoping that it's my nephew's birthday today. And I'm hoping someone's plans there's some kind of going out for tea type thing.
So you don't think. And my missus said, we're going to Eureka this afternoon. And I was like, I hope that doesn't mean me. It costs 28 quid. I was like, oh, well, I hope that doesn't mean me. God, that's a lot of money for Eureka. You get like a year of the past for that. But, that must be for 3 people. Probably have to pay for the kid as well. Or we just. I bet.
Oh, that's it, she's gone. Can I bring the van into position, do you think?
Of course, yes, of course.